Hi moms and dads, this is Ash from GFit. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, and one of my specialities, together with my business partner and brother Adrian, is working on the strength and conditioning and physical development of kids. We're going to be talking today about what your child between the age of 6 and 9 should be doing to optimize their physical development and develop a love of physical activity, and what kind of programs you should be looking at to enroll your child in, the do's and the don'ts. And then also we'll be looking at some things that you can be doing with your child at home to optimize the development and the role that you can play as parents. I think more than anything, what parents want to see for their children is that they're happy, that they are interacting with their peers, that they're able to move and run and have fun and just be kids. And we're really about developing that competence in the movement so that children can feel confident in their own physicality, and develop in the way that they need to develop. And I think it's also about creating an awareness of your own health and your own fitness and what it feels like to move properly, what it feels like to be healthy and fit, so that will then carry on throughout life, and they'll grow up as healthy and energetic and fit adults as well. So the question about early specialization, and it's one that really comes up particularly amongst us dads. You'll see your child hit a ball and you think, wow, this is going to be the next Sachin Tendulkar or the next Serena Williams, and you think, well, this is my early retirement policy right there. And you say it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but some dads actually go on to think, well, let's get my child to specialize in cricket or specialize in tennis. And the trouble with that at an early age, at the age of 6 to 9, is that from a developmental point of view, the child's brain is still developing it, and it's developing at such a rate that, first of all, you do not know where his or her abilities lie if you're pushing them only in one direction. So as well as they might play cricket or tennis, they might be equally good at netball or hockey or rowing or athletics. So you need to give them the opportunity to explore all those sports. The other thing from a developmental point of view is that you need to groove those neural pathways. You need to get the messages that are going from the brain through to the muscles to be grooved in various different movement patterns, from changing of direction to balance to agility to speed of the mark to running backwards to all the fundamental movement patterns. And if you're specializing too early and you're pushing them into one direction, you're not fully developing the full spectrum of human movement and those fundamental movement patterns, things like walking, lunging, climbing, pulling, pushing, which translate across all sports. So I would really guard against early specialization and look at enrolling them into programs that are developing them in every direction and all the fundamental strength movements and movement patterns that they can use in all kinds of sports. So you might have a situation where your son loves cricket or your daughter loves hockey, and that's all that they want to play. And it's absolutely fine to get them into a hockey program or a cricket program where they undergo some coaching and their cricket skills are worked on. But when you enroll them in those programs, look out for programs that, even though they're specializing in cricket and they're focusing on the cricket skills, they're also interchangeable skills. So you've got various drills within the cricket program or within the hockey program that are teaching things like agility and change of direction and spatial awareness and eye-hand coordination. All too often we see coaches that will put a 7-year-old child into a batting net and throw 100 balls at them and expect them to get a cover drive perfectly down from the start. And missing an opportunity to develop various skills within one discipline. So look out for coaching programs that have drills like hand soccer, for example, where you are rolling the ball, you're throwing the ball to a teammate to try and score a goal, you're changing direction, you're bending, you're squatting, you're lunging, you're catching, you're throwing. All those skills brought into one sport, and it's a diverse, holistic approach towards the development of your child. If it becomes too one-dimensional in the coaching process, rather steer away from it. So more than anything, your child should be engaged in fundamental movements. We've talked about things like walking and locomotion, running, lunging, squatting, pulling, pushing, rolling, backwards running, those kinds of whole body multi-joint movements that are translatable into any sport. Those are the kinds of things that we want to be mastering and we want to be getting down at this age. Other things that you should be engaging in, things like object manipulation, a lot of playing with balls and catching balls and kicking balls and gauging how far a ball needs to be thrown, for example, or a bean bag, throwing it next to a cone to see how close you can get to the cone. So you're developing that spatial awareness and that proprioceptive skill within your kids as well. And then very often you'll find that children between the age of 6 and 9, they lack fundamental strength. So an ability to do a push-up, for example, or an ability to do a pull-up or a dip or a squat is lacking. And that's fine. That's not the end of the world. That can be worked on. But it needs to be worked on if it is lacking. So things like push-ups, pull-ups, squats, dips, all those types of movements are important from a strength point of view as well. And of course, all these things need to be integrated within games and situations that are fun and engaging and keep the kids interested in enjoying the love of movement. In addition to that, you will find that a lot of children are lacking in cardiovascular fitness as well. So what we like to do is we like to integrate fun drills into warm-ups to develop the cardiovascular system as well. So things like hopping, jumping, skipping, bunny hop races, frog jumps, agility runs, all those kinds of things that are working them out from a cardiovascular perspective, and then also teaching things like agility, balance, and those aspects as well. So I think what is most important as parents is that we are involved with the kids from a play and a fun and a sports point of view. I think all too often we've had a long week and we say to our children on the weekend, just go and play in the garden, and we don't actually get involved. We're not actually playing with them ourselves. And there's nothing greater for a child to actually have that interaction of the parent and people that they look up to actually playing with them and interacting with them. So that's the first thing. Whatever you do with them, just play with them. Some of the activities that you can do, anything involving those fundamental movement patterns, running, walking, changing of direction, running backwards, things like catches, games of tag, getting them down onto all fours, bear crawls to develop that upper body strength, climbing ropes, all those kinds of activities are going to be beneficial, and just use your imagination. Other thing is what we call object manipulation that we touched on earlier. So playing games where you're actually throwing an object around, balls, or you're kicking an object around, developing eye-hand coordination and eye-foot coordination, and the ability to move into space to receive the ball, which are all fundamental skills to translate across every sport is important. One of the things to bear in mind is that the activities that we're teaching kids are outcomes based. So it's not necessarily about teaching a child from the start to hit the perfect cover drive. First and foremost, you want the child to hit the ball. And you're going to find that children are going to hit a ball very, very differently. And one child might hit a ball straight up in the sky, and the other one's going to hit it perfectly along the ground. What is important is that the hitting of the ball and making good contact with the ball. So all too often we see situations where a child will hit the ball out of the ballpark, but it's not the perfect form in terms of a cover drive, and parents and coaches will overcorrect that and say that you hit it well, but you didn't do it properly. So they end up playing this perfect cover drive and missing the ball every time. So the first thing we're trying to teach is the outcome. How do you hit the ball? What skills do you need to hit the ball from an eye-hand spatial awareness point of view? So don't overcorrect. The technique and the form will come later. Teach the fundamentals and reward the effort. So a few take-home messages. Firstly, early specialization. Please avoid that. We want to get our children at this developmental age to be involved in as many opportunities to play different sports and move in different ways as possible to develop the fullest possible range of skills that will translate across every sport that they do going through their physical and sporting lives. Also, be careful not to overcorrect. We're rewarding the outcome, and we're wanting children at this age to explore as much as possible. So you want a semi-structured environment in which kids feel safe to explore, safe to make mistakes. And if they're doing things completely wrong, you need to give guidance and correction. But don't get too bogged down in form at this stage. It's the outcome that we're actually rewarding. Also reward the effort. I think any program should be teaching kids to be coachable, to be a part of a team, to understand that there's a team structure and that there's an authority, and to take instruction and to listen and to be a team player. That can be taught at this age. Some kids will go on to be great sportsmen. Some may even make it to the highest level. Others may not. They may just be social sportsmen or love physical activity. But one commonality and one thing that is carried through with every child that is on a program like this, irrespective of their ability, is a sense of confidence, a sense of competence and belief in their ability, and a love for well-being and love for physical activity in their own body.